Justin Gaethje had just became the UFC lightweight champion, and I think now it's a perfect time to discuss how Khabib Nurmagomedov has been underrated by the fans the past few years. The perception on Khabib Nurmagomedov had changed over the years. When he first retired, people were referring to him as the GOAT, but after a few years, when new stars started showing up and going on their respected runs, like Charles Oliveira's title run, Alexander Volkanovski's run at featherweight, his fight against Islam Makhachev's run, and one of the most common was people saying that Alex Pereira was above Khabib on the GOAT list based on the number of champions that he beat. We started hearing narratives that Khabib's resume was severely overrated and he retired too early to be in the GOAT conversations. However, I think this is where people were underrating Khabib. Khabib's achievements weren't based on wins alone. It also has a lot to do with how he won those fights, right? He was known for his dominance. He has never been cut, never bled. I know I hate this statement. Everybody's been regurgitating it like bird food. But he also has shown no signs of fatigue besides the Glishan Tebow fight, of course, which he lost. But anyways, as far as resume goes, he finished Conor McGregor, he finished Justin Gaethje, he finished Dustin Poirier, and these were great wins in great fashion as well. He arguably beat one of the best versions of each of these athletes. Poirier and Gaethje were in their prime, and although people claim that McGregor weren't the same after the layoff and after the boxing, I'd argue that's one of the best he's ever looked, especially when it comes to his grappling. His takedown defense looked much more improved compared to when he fought Chad Mendes, and Khabib still finished him, and the other two, as I mentioned. Even based on all these facts, right, people would still easily say that Islam Makhachev has a better resume since he beat Volkanovski, beat Charles Oliveira, Dustin Poirier, and Jack Della Maddalena, Renato Moicano, Bobby Green, Dan Hooker. While Islam does have a deeper resume, I'd argue that Khabib beat his opponents way more dominantly, and I don't think that's really an argument at all. And now comparing their skill sets. The difference between Khabib and Islam Makhachev is that Khabib was a way better freestyle wrestler, and his grappling was much more effective on the fence. His shot is much more explosive, he's much faster than Islam's, and he's also has devastating ground and pound. I'd say Islam matches him in the judo, upper body throws, and trips. And we've seen both of them hit clean Uchimaras time and time again on various opponents. However, Islam is the more skilled striker. He has smooth boxing, great kicks on top of being a southpaw, which makes him very tricky to deal with. But looking at their wins against Dustin, Khabib was much more dominant, being in control most of the fight besides the guillotine, while Islam was cut open and busted up by Dustin and took a lot of damage. I think Khabib's dominance and ability to impose his will onto his opponents were often overlooked, especially now most fans think of him as overrated and fraudulent. They don't put him on the Mount Rushmore. But now looking back at it, there's great arguments that he has a good chance against Islam Makhachev's opponent or Islam himself. He has a good chance against Oliveira. Maybe he has a good chance against Ilia Topuria, Volkanovski. I think overall, Khabib was maybe a tad bit overrated when he first retired, but over the years, fans started overlooking his achievements to the point that where now he's severely underrated in my opinion. I think he would have done extremely well against the current roster of lightweights and welterweights. And if he were to fight Islam, I'd pick Khabib eventually to outpace Islam with his pressure, aggression, cardio, and superior grappling. Let me know what you guys think. Is Khabib underrated?